You're squatting down to grab your baby. You're holding your baby. Like that's all strength training. I mean, really, when you're training during pregnancy, you're literally training for motherhood.
You're listening to the Ethos Athletes podcast, where we believe that your health is the number one resource you need to accomplish your dreams. My name is Dr. Matthew Hernandez, and I'm a physician dedicated to helping my patients maintain their active lifestyle and continue doing what they love. I'm sitting down with other experts so that we can provide our listeners with the knowledge they need to improve their health and live their best life. Hey everyone, this is Dr. Matthew Hernandez, and you're listening to the Ethos Athletes podcast. Today, we're going to be continuing our Fit Mom series. In this episode, we're going to be discussing what you can do during pregnancy to stay fit and to maintain your fitness level. For this, we brought on Ashley Allen, who is the owner of Ashley Allen Fitness. She is an IFBB fitness pro and a certified personal trainer with a pre- and postnatal care specialty. So Ashley, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be back.
So in the last episode, if you missed it, Ashley discussed her transition from being a fitness pro to making the decision of wanting to have a kid and what she did to transition her body to be able to have a healthy pregnancy. In this episode, Ashley's going to be discussing what she did during her pregnancy to help maintain her fitness and give some tips on some of the things that you can do to help with that so that you can ultimately recover better at the end of your pregnancy, which is what we're shooting for here, the end goal. So how do you have a healthy pregnancy and how do you recover from it down the road? If you didn't catch the last episode, the other caveat is Ashley is actually Dr. Alexandra Mayer's personal trainer, my partner here at Ethos. So I've known Ashley for a bit. I was able to kind of watch as she transitioned through her pregnancy. There were some little things that I would notice at the gym that you were doing as far as different exercises. I noticed that you never, even when you're training people, you never got lazy. You were always picking up weights, even when you were 9 months in, all this other stuff. You were always picking up your clients' weights, doing all these things. You did a really good job at, from what I could tell, just staying active during it, obviously being safe about it. But why don't you tell us some of the things that you did during pregnancy in order to maintain your fitness level and to help with recovery later?
So my main goal through pregnancy, I think we talked a little bit about this in the previous episode, but my main goal was to just keep it going. I didn't want to stop because I knew if I stopped working out, stopped that habit, then afterwards I knew I would have had a harder time recovering. So my main goal was to stay active. During my pregnancy, the goal for the first time in my whole life wasn't for aesthetic looks. It wasn't for looks. It was literally to stay healthy. And that was different for me because as a fitness pro, that's what you train for. You train to look good. You train to be lean. You train for symmetry. So it was just a completely different mindset for me to grasp. And on top of it, my body's changing, it's growing. I carry more body fat and stuff like that. So it was just completely different. But yeah, the goal for me was to never stop moving until the day came. So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that I want to reiterate that you talked about in the last episode was just trusting your body. Can you tell me what that looked like in this stage when you were pregnant? As far as, obviously, you're going to have more body fat, stuff like that. There's a number of things that you weren't used to just being a competitive athlete. So kind of walk me through what that looked like for you.
Oh, man. So I feel like when I first got pregnant, the first changes I noticed and how I knew I was pregnant, I noticed that I didn't have a definition. It just went away overnight. It was crazy. I was working out in the gym and I look in the mirror and I noticed my stomach looked bloated and you couldn't see my shoulder definition as well. And I was like, this is weird. Nothing's changed except for me being healthier. So yeah, I'm going to have less definition, but it looks different than last week. Lo and behold, took a pregnancy test and it was positive. For the first month or so, I struggled a lot. And I think a big part of that is because typically you don't tell people you're pregnant during that first trimester. So people around you are probably wondering ooh, is she letting it all go? Is she pregnant? What's going on with Ashley? I just felt really insecure about it because no one knew I was pregnant. Mm-hmm. And not that it matters what other people think of my body. I learned not to care about that. But during that first month or two, I just felt so self-conscious because no one knew I was pregnant. And on top of that, I felt like crap. I was exhausted and fatigued and nauseous and no one knew. Around week 15, this was a couple weeks after we announced everything, I started to feel a little bit better. And I made a very conscious decision to not feel that way about my body, to accept the fact that I am pregnant, to accept the fact that my stomach is going to grow, to accept the fact that I'm going to have body fat on my body. And it's necessary fat. So I really had to go through this mental transition. And it happened around week 15. It was just me literally making a very conscious decision. And ever since then on, I was super happy. I was super grateful for my body. I did practice a lot of gratitude. And I feel like the more grateful you are about your body and the more you remind yourself of it, the easier the pregnancy will be, the easier the changes will be. And I spoke about it a lot on my Instagram and just with other moms. So I feel like talking about it, not making it this weird thing, and it's not taboo to gain weight during pregnancy. It's okay to gain weight during pregnancy. You should gain weight during pregnancy and increase your body fat. So that's kind of how I got through it. Every day I just reminded myself there's a bigger purpose here. It's not about how I look right now. It's literally about how I feel. I'm carrying a baby. Like, just again, looking at that big picture really helped me get over that body image thing. And like I said, reminded myself every day of the gratitude and positive affirmations, and that carried me through.
Yeah, that's awesome. Practicing gratitude is such a good tool, I think, for everyone to use, regardless of you're pregnant or not, or male, female, anything like that. Did you have like a gratitude journal? Was it just something you sat and like reflected on in the morning, or what did that look like for you?
I at the time I didn't do any journaling. I wish I had, but I just wasn't making the time for it. And actually, I'm so proud of myself. The past like almost 3 months, I've been journaling every day.
Nice.
It's amazing. I love doing it. But anyways, during pregnancy, I just didn't make the time for it. I didn't have a good morning routine or anything yet. I would just be conscious of my thoughts. And every single time something negative came through, I replaced it with that. Like if I was like, oh, my butt looks big, I'd be like, I am so grateful that I'm able to carry my baby. I'm so grateful I have muscle on my legs and stuff like that. I would just divert those thoughts. And it would just, I would do it randomly throughout the day whenever I would feel not so great about myself. But it wasn't like something I did where I wrote it down all the time. Like I said, I wish I had, and I will next time I'm pregnant. I'll keep it up.
Yeah.
But I would just think of it throughout the day. And same with the affirmations too.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like it. When you were looking at the changes that you had to do, like nutritionally and like your dietary changes, walk me through how that was. I mean, you seem to be able to have mentally made it easy for yourself to transition everything, which I think is the biggest battle. What did it look like before you were pregnant to, while you were pregnant? What did your diet look like? Stuff like that.
Yeah. So I think we talked about this before. Prior to pregnancy, I did macro counting, which I'm sure everyone is very familiar with because you've had Kelly Michelle on before. So I did a lot of macro counting. Around like week 6 of my pregnancy is when I started to get nauseous. I had major food aversions. If you've never had food aversions before, it's literally like you smell something and it just turns you off. You can't have it. You can't be near you. Like I had aversions to everything. Protein was really hard to get in. So really during that first trimester for me,
yeah.
Survival mode. Like eat what you can. I ate a lot of fruit during that first trimester, and I literally did not eat at home once. I couldn't stand the smell of food, so I would go out every single meal. Whole Foods had my whole wallet. So that was the first trimester. It was just basically survival mode. Eat what I could, and I made the best choices possible. I didn't get fast food or anything. I truly believe that you can always make the better choice, and that's what I did. Could I have gone through Chick-fil-A and had sandwich and french fries? Sure. But I decided to go across the street to Whole Foods instead. So it's those conscious decisions that I made. And then during the second trimester, I was able to finally get protein down. I feel fortunate. I had an aversion to sugar. So anything super, super sweet, I could not eat. So there was no ice cream in my house and none of that. I ate a lot of fruit. I was pregnant in the summertime, so melons are in season and stuff like that. So I ate a lot of that, which is really good because it has a lot of water in it, which has helped keep me hydrated. And you can eat a lot of volume in that. And vegetables and everything were fine. I had a hard time with protein throughout my whole pregnancy. I think it's just texture, and like chicken especially was gross. So I tried my best with the protein. And it just it was different every day. So I had a habit of meal prepping the past 5 years. But when I became pregnant, it was really hard to meal prep because every day was different.
Okay.
So
that's tough,
yeah, it was hard. So I couldn't meal prep anymore. So I got into the habit of just kind of making things as I went, which was fine because I own my own business. So it's not like I go and work in an office all day. It's pretty easy for me to cook at home. Yeah, I just always always made the better choice out of everything that I could eat. Just choosing the best option. And that's just how I went out throughout my whole pregnancy. I didn't try to diet. I didn't try to do any of that. I just tried to drink and eat very clean and light. And that's what's best for babies. So
what struggles do women typically face when they're looking at their nutrition during pregnancy, aside from obviously the food aversion that you talked about?
So I feel like the nausea is really hard. And it's just like you've never been pregnant or experienced that before. It's just constant like stomach upset. And a lot of women also struggle with heartburn, especially later on in their pregnancy. And I definitely did. Savannah sat really high up in my rib cage. And I literally, the last 4 weeks, I couldn't eat solid foods. I like had soups and green juice and stuff like that. Was really sad. But I just ate a lot of soup. But that heartburn was really hard. So I literally could only have small meals, more small and frequent meals, which also helps with nausea. And nausea can happen at any time during pregnancy. I had it a lot during my 3rd trimester too. So having those smaller, more frequent meals helped me a lot, especially with the heartburn and just eating less in the evenings.
Okay.
But that whole myth, eating for 2, that's not true. That is definitely a myth.
Okay.
And if you're pregnant, you really only need an extra 300 to 400 calories. And that's like an apple and peanut butter.
Okay.
So you really don't need to be eating a whole lot more. You really don't. But I think just, listening to your body, if you're hungry, eat something. So, yeah.
Yeah. So you had heartburn. Did you experience anything else? Like, did you have any issues with sleep, or how did you kind of do your best to maintain sleep?
Yeah. So I know a lot of women experience insomnia and stuff like that. I didn't have anything with insomnia. I had for a while there, it's so weird. I know a lot of women have this pregnancy dreams. I would have nightmares. I was also listening to a crime podcast that didn't help. Every night I'd wake up and be like, okay. It's okay. So that was my sleep struggle. And then, like I said, Savannah sat really high in my rib cage. So it felt like my rib cage was splitting apart at night, especially towards the end. So I had to find certain sleeping positions to sleep in. I mean, it was a lot of pain, and I got regular massage. I took care of my body, but it was what it was. So I had to find different ways to sleep, and they recommend sleeping on your side when you're pregnant, and that killed my hips. So it was sleeping towards the end was quite the challenge.
Yeah. Quite
the challenge. But the second the baby came out, I had no more issues. So it's just crazy. But yeah, I didn't have a lot of issues sleeping. So
that's good.
Unless it was with the pain, but it was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was heartburn your biggest thing?
Heartburn was hard.
Yeah.
Really hard. And then I got food poisoning when I was 37 weeks.
Oh, God.
And puking at 37 weeks was a challenge. A challenge. I swear. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to go into labor because of this. And that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But you don't have any core muscles. So puking was horrible.
Yeah.
It was awful.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Other thing to look at with just staying healthy during pregnancy, as you've mentioned, is just being, staying moving and keeping that habit. What were some of the activities that you found yourself doing during this? And I would imagine it changed by trimester, but maybe even by week and stuff. Yeah. What were some of the things that you were doing?
So prior to pregnancy, I worked out a lot, 5 to 6 days a week, and I would go hard. During my first trimester, I struggled a lot with fatigue, partially because I was detoxing from my caffeine addiction. So I was really tired to that. And my workout routine changed overnight. I mean, it did a complete 180. I was working out during that first trimester 3 to 4 days a week, not very hard. I told you last time that I tried Pilates and I literally hated it. So I stopped doing Pilates. I just stuck with what I loved, which is lifting and circuit training. So during that first trimester, you can really do everything the same as long as you're not high risk. And that's kind of what I stuck with. I did what I knew and what I liked, just strength training and cardio. And then during the second trimester, one of the biggest things is you don't want to lay flat on your back. So I had to do a lot of incline work. So if I was doing a bench press, I would lean it up a little bit. So that way my baby and I were safe.
Yeah.
And then as you get bigger, as your belly grows, your center of gravity gets thrown off. So I really focused my training on a lot of stabilization. Mm-hmm. So a lot of single leg work. In pregnancy, your body produces a hormone called relaxin, which causes your ligaments to relax, especially in that pelvis area, which can cause a lot of weakness in the glutes and the hips. And I noticed almost immediately, that all the glutes, all the muscles I built, took so many years to build, literally deflated right away. And I could feel weakness in my hips. And then also right before I got pregnant, I injured my hip. So I did a lot of glute and hip strengthening work,
Mm-hmm.
just because I knew that's where women typically lose a lot of strength.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of that, which can also help with lower back pain if women get lower back pain. And something different during pregnancy is you start breathing in your chest and not your stomach.
Oh, interesting.
You have to train yourself to do belly breathing because baby takes over.
Yeah.
So you have to really focus on your breath work and a lot of core exercises as well. So you think core, you think sit-ups, abs, crunches, and that's not the kind of core that pregnant women should be doing.
Yeah.
Women need to be focusing on that pelvic floor work and that deep core work. So that's kind of where that breathing comes in. So that's kind of what I focused on, and I was able to stay strong the whole time. So
that's awesome.
As I got towards the end, a lot of body weight stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of body weight. Still, I did single leg stuff still up until the end. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Which I do remember seeing you in the gym. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of single leg stuff.
When we're looking at women's struggles with exercise, for those that don't like to weight train, and I think this goes back to what you said of just do what you like, and as long as you're moving, then you're okay. Are you able to speak to some of the benefits of something simple as far as walking during pregnancy or different things like that? What are some other options they have outside of?
So if you're not
those?
into weight training, there's so many options for you. Obviously, weight training is going to help maintain that lean body mass or that muscle mass, which is going to help so much with your bones and everything like that. But if you don't like to weight train or you don't already weight train, walking is great. It's so funny. I never liked to walk. I thought it was pointless. I hated going for walks. It was boring. It wasn't super exciting. I didn't feel like I was burning enough calories. So I never walked until I was pregnant and postpartum. Then I started walking a lot, and now I love it. Mm-hmm. Even though it's not for a calorie burn, it still is going to keep you active. It still is going to help you burn calories because you're moving. Yeah. So walking is great. Hiking is good. If you're an experienced hiker, you've been doing it a lot, you can do it as long as you feel safe and stable. Yeah. Obviously, don't go on Camelback Mountain.
Right.
If you're 6 months pregnant, you can do aerobics classes, just understand some of the modifications that you might make, tell your instructor you're pregnant. You can do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I see women doing CrossFit. They're just modifying their CrossFit. So you can literally do anything, but walking is one of the best things that you can do.
Right on. What other issues do women in general tend to struggle with during pregnancy? What else have you noticed that you like to kind of help them through?
Yeah, so a lot of women during pregnancy and from nursing and holding their babies, they get a lot of back and neck soreness, and they tend to hunch over a lot. I do it too. I'm doing it right now. I do it too. Correct me. I do it too, and it's that chest gets really tight. So what I like to do is a lot of chest opening stretches to help open up that chest. And then also a lot of back strengthening exercises. So a lot of rows. Rowing is great, because that's going to help keep your posture up. It's going to help keep your back strong. And then also, what a lot of people don't realize, when you have the baby, when the baby comes, you are doing a lot of lifting. You're taking that carrier in and out of the car. You're squatting down to grab your baby. You're holding your baby. That's all strength training. I mean, really, when you're training during pregnancy, you're literally training for motherhood. That's what you're training for. Yeah. It's going to help make all that so much easier.
You talked about diaphragmatic breathing earlier. Now, I think this is an extremely important thing for everyone to get down, is being able to breathe properly, which sounds dumb, but a lot of people don't actually do it super well.
People don't breathe. If you ask someone, when was the last time you took a deep breath?
Right.
If you asked me that 4 years ago, I would have just said, I don't know, when I was 6.
Yeah.
If you don't stop and focus on breathing, you don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we breathe. We do it out of habit. I mean, that's what we do to live. But when was the last time you took an intentional breath?
Right. Now, when you're doing diaphragmatic breathing, are the cues that you use to kind of coach someone through how to do that properly, are those any different? Do those change with pregnancy at all? Is it the same?
They're pretty much the same. You just want to see, that belly expand out, and then you draw it back in. So it's very similar as if you were to learn it when you're not pregnant. Mm-hmm. That's literally the best core exercise you can do, because it's going to strengthen all those little itty bitty tiny core muscles that you still have, and it'll help pull it back in, and it'll help prevent that diastasis recti.
Okay.
So that's always good too.
Right on. When we're looking at muscle groups to focus on during pregnancy, so glutes is one.
Glutes and hips.
Glutes and hips. That'll help your low back. Kind of like that upper thoracic to help with your neck.
Yeah. And one thing I didn't do, and I wish I focused on, you can't really do a lot of twisting, and that thoracic spine, it twists. So if you're not twisting it, you're going to get really stiff. And I didn't focus on that because I knew, but I didn't feel it until afterwards. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I lost so much mobility in my back. So like keeping that thoracic spine mobile and doing like small twists helps so much.
Is there anything else that, if you were to go through pregnancy again, that you would do differently aside from, obviously working on spinal mobility like you talked about?
I wish I went a little harder with my workouts. I really do. When you're pregnant, especially the first time, you don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
When I get pregnant again, I'll definitely push my workouts a little bit more because I know what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
So I wish I went a little harder and challenged myself a little bit more.
Yeah.
Obviously, still being safe. And then I wish I did a lot more rows and focus on that back work.
Yeah.
Because I did struggle with a lot of back pain. And that just comes from nursing too. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So those are the two things I wish I did more of.
Okay. Are there any other words of advice you can give to moms that they can do during their pregnancy?
So I want to talk training intensity.
Yeah.
I see women just get trolled on Instagram for doing like intense workouts. And you can go intense. The old rule of thumb, there's been a lot of new research in the past 10 years with exercise and pregnancy, a lot of new research. And the old rule of thumb was you can't get your heart rate over 140. That's out. There's new stuff in. So now we refer to a rate of exertion. So on 1 to 10, 1 being you're not exerting like anything, you're doing a full conversation, and 10 is like you're all out. You can't talk, you are out of breath. When you're pregnant, you can get up to 5 and 6. So you can still go pretty intense. You just want a good rule of thumb to remember when you're exerting energy is you should be able to hold a full conversation.
Okay.
If you can't talk while you're working out during pregnancy, scale it back a little bit until you can. That's the rule of thumb.
Okay.
Everyone's heart rate is different, and that depends on activity level, how in shape you are and stuff like that. So 140 is going to look different on everyone. 140 beats per minute. You can go up to 160. It just depends on the person. As long as they can hold a conversation, it should be fine.
Yeah. You mentioned trolling on social media, stuff like that. For women who are like yourself, they want to stay fit. They're wanting to be able to do this. Yeah. Aside from following the rule of thumb you had, do you have any other advice for them?
People are going to shame you for working out during pregnancy. Yeah. They're going to tell you you're selfish. They're going to tell you that it's not safe. And they're going to try to make you question everything, but you stick with your gut. And if you feel like working out is going to help you during pregnancy, then keep freaking going. Yeah. Don't stop because someone tells you to. Are they an expert? Do they have research backing it up? Probably not. So if someone tells you it's not safe, ask them for research. Like, you show me research and then I'll stop. Yeah. But until then, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because people are going to hate on you because for whatever reason, pregnant women are targets. Mm-hmm. For everything, we're a target. When you're pregnant, people, it's like they put you on this like pedestal. They can say anything they want to you. They can say, you look so big, or let me touch your stomach. They don't even ask. They just touch your stomach. Like, for whatever reason, all like social rules don't apply to pregnant women. People just like they can say and do whatever they want to them. Yeah. And it sucks. But as long as, you stick with your gut and you continue training, listen to your body, listen to your baby, and that's it.
I love that. With the individuals that are trolling or that are kind of like throwing some negative energy at you, is there expectation that you just don't do anything? Is that what they're expecting?
You know what? I don't know. I'm like, so are pregnant women supposed to go home and sit like and do nothing? Months? Because I'm pretty sure research shows that is not healthy. So these trolls are just out there hating on pregnant women for doing good, and working out is not selfish. Yeah. Whether you're pregnant or a mom, it is self-care. And it is self-care, necessary 100%. Self-care. And for people to go out there and say that it's bad for pregnant women to work out, like, come on. Yeah. Get with it. It's 2020.
Yeah, that's fair. Again, I think I mentioned this in the last one. One of the things that I really like about you and your approach to stuff is you have a lot of, you have several certifications for this, but then you also have, you back your stuff with research. And so for those listeners who may be pregnant or looking at getting pregnant and want to have that research available to them, then we'll make sure that we put that in the show notes. That way you can have access to that as well. And you can send links to people if you are getting trolled.
No, but seriously, I have there's a website I go to for all my research, and I like evidence-based stuff. And I do feel like, there's some clinical stuff too that you can apply, but evidence-based is where it's at. And there's a lot of evidence supporting fitness during pregnancy. So if you want to work out, you're not high risk, go for it.
Yeah. Awesome. Ashley, thank you so much. I think the summary that we have here is your main goal is just keep going, keep up the habit. Make sure you practice gratitude. Diaphragmatic breathing is important. Focus on those muscle groups of your glutes, hips, and your thoracic spine, all those things. And then don't listen to haters. I think was the other one.
Yeah, and just keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
Do not stop. Modify as needed, but just keep going. You will have, if you keep going through your pregnancy, working out, research shows you'll have a much better labor and delivery and recovery. So when you want to stop, just think big picture and keep going.
Ashley, if someone wanted to get in contact with you, what are some of the ways that they can go do that?
You can find me on Instagram at Ashley Allen Fit. My website is ashleyallenfit.com. And my email address is ashley@ashleyallenfit.com.
Perfect. Can't get any more succinct than that.
On brand.
we'll make sure to put those links in the show notes as well. So Ashley, thank you so much for being on this episode again. In our next episode, we're going to be discussing things that you can do postpartum to continue recovering from pregnancy and staying fit. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Do you or someone you know experience joint pain? Our team at Ethos Sports Medicine loves to work with active individuals and help them avoid surgery and pain medications, eliminate joint pain, and stay active. Ask our team how you can get more information on our unique approach to joint pain so you can continue doing what you love.